Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I have two Christmas cards to share with you. They came together simultaneously. I originally had another plan, but well, on the go I decided to just change that up and create two cards instead of the one that I had in my head. But I will try to show you still in this video the original plan as well. Everything came together because of the sentiment. I don't know if I mentioned it in a previous video, but something that I didn't do so far with strips of paper was to create my die-cut sentiment with it. So that was the reason why I started with the trimming of these strips out of several colors cardstock from Concord and 9th. These are Cranberry, Poppy, Ballet slippers, Grapefruit and Sorbet. So I wanted to have like a random order, so not really an order, but just, well, and I took these sticky sheets to help me get my own striped pattern paper in the background. Now I'm going to create two mini slimline cards and I wanted to make sure that I had enough of this background paper for my mini slimline. I'm later on going to use the nesting Deckle mini slimline die, so I just made sure that it was big enough for the largest die specifically of this set. So here I'm removing the backings and then I'm going in a diagonal kind of way with all of these stripes on top of this printer paper. It's a really thin paper, any paper will do, but the thinner it is, the less it will work against you while die cutting. So I use just some cheap printer paper for that. If you have some leftover papers, that might work as well. Just make sure that it is as thin as possible because you already have that thickness of the cardstock that you're using. So I'm just making sure that I'm adding every line against the previous one, and that's how this background came together. Later on I will trim all of the excess off so that I can easily die cut my mini slimline with it. Also the leftovers you can still use. If you want to, you can keep them in like an envelope or anything, or a plastic bag for the next time. So here I have my panel, and originally I wanted to only use this for one card. I wanted to have the border to be with the pattern paper, the warm hugs as well, and then I was going to add a white panel in between. I will lay it out how I intended it originally, because at this very moment I was still going to create just one card. So here this smaller die was going to be a white panel, and then the colors would peek from underneath, and the warm hugs would also have those lovely stripes. I'm going to combine it with the penguins on ice stamp set from Hello Bluebird. And as you can see here, I just made sure to lay it out so that everything kind of worked size-wise. So I'm just placing here all the items that I needed to die cut, and then that white panel was going to cover up the fact that I cut something out of that backside. This was the idea. But then I realized, keeping all of the innards, that I also could make like a shaker card. And I don't make a lot of shaker cards, yeah, because, well, I don't think I have the patience either, but also it's really hard to get some great pictures from those cards, so I think I kind of avoid cards that make it hard for me to photograph them. But just in case you like this card that you will see with the shaker materials and you don't like making shakers, you can definitely just keep it with like a warm, the white just behind the die cut warm hugs. That would work great as well, and you will avoid making a shaker. Or maybe you have another piece of colored paper that you want to put behind, that is perfectly fine. Anything really can do. There is not something that you have to do. I am going to create a really simple shaker. You will see it in a few seconds. And then once I was convinced that I was going to create a shaker, I just had to figure out a colored cardstock to put behind the second one. But that's also easy because you used colored cardstock. So if you want to repeat one of the colors from your sentiment that has all those colored stripes, that's just perfectly fine. So that is the easy thing to do as well. Now first let's create the shaker. I put a piece of acetate behind, and then I'm going to just put the warm hugs that I cut on top to make sure that everything is perfectly inlet how it was supposed to be. So I'm using some liquid glue here. I'm going to let it dry, and then I will lift that warm hugs out of this panel, and then I can use that on the second card. So of course I sped it up, and I can already take out the warm hugs like that. And then we can create our shaker. Now if you want to use thick shaker materials, then I would definitely suggest that you are doubling up your foam, or that you're using a really thick foam to put behind. I'm going to use the chunky glitter from Fawn, which is a really thin, gorgeous shaker material, really easy. So I'm just going to do one layer of this foam tape. Make sure to close all of the edges. There cannot be any gaps there where you want to put the shaker materials, because otherwise they will get loose and go everywhere, and that's just a bummer. That's really hard. Now because the sentiment is quite big, I'm going to reinforce the sentiment by adding a few pieces of foam tape right underneath as well, so that it is a bit sturdier, also handy when it goes through mail. Now I took a piece of printer paper, again leftover from previously, and I'm going to add that temporary, I'm going to add it just behind the warm hugs after adding the shaker material. You can immediately add the card base, but I'm just the worst. I'm always losing shaker material, so I just kept it easy for me. This way I can add a bit of adhesive on my card base and just add everything on top, and nothing is gonna get loose. I'm just lining that up, and that is going to be my first background for the first card. So originally I wanted to make one card, so I'm going to color the penguin twice now. I am not going to change colors, just to let you see again. These two cards have the same color palette, same image. I think it's really handy to see things like this. I don't know about you, I can make several cards in a video if I have inspiration and use tons of different colors and such. But I think there is, again, the strength of a clean and simple design, that you just adjust a tiny bit, but you still have the same color palette, like I did with the 5 cards for the Get Cracking on Christmas. I don't know if you saw it, but it was tons of fun, so definitely check that out if you haven't yet. There I used blue and yellow as my colors. Here it's all about the reds and kind of the more traditional Christmas colors. I know there is pinks and orange and all those things, but I mean, it's more traditional than blue and yellow, no? So here I'm just coloring the penguin. This one again is from the Penguin on Ice. It's the only image that I'm going to add. Of course you can add more, but I really love letting one image shine on its own. And with this big sentiment you can definitely add more. But how cute is this one? I mean, I must admit, I got my package from the winter collection, well, the winter release from Hello Bluebird, and it's stunning. I got it actually as a Christmas present. It's a Christmas present of the husband here, but I can already play with it, which is really fun. But I think I shared 2 videos now, so let's just say that I will have to create Christmas cards or winter cards or whatever you want to call them in January. And I know for some of you it's like, what? Doing that early, but again, I have said it in the past, like my parents, they are supportive in kind of a way that they take all my Christmas cards and I get some new budget, you know. They give me a little something for it so that I can buy more stamps. That's how they support me in my crazy hobby here. But I always am left with not enough cards for myself, and so this year I sort of already am sending a few out. I have tons of friends that went living alone, and so they get a Christmas card as well. And I would love to have more Christmas cards next year to send to more crafty friends as well, because you guys are all amazing, and I get some amazing Christmas cards every year by tons of the same people, and I don't think that I'm able to send cards back, and I find it a bit sad, but I really want to work on that. But yeah, and this year, as I said in one of the previous videos, there was just like a month of crazy things going on at work and just no time for myself. I was working weekends as well, like double of the hours that I should do in a week, so I had no time to craft. This even was before the rush show, so I made it the moment that my order arrived from Hello Bluebird, and I'm only sharing it right now because I just had no time to edit, to do the voiceovers. And so there is this period right before Christmas where I apparently, and it's clear it's gonna be every year, but that I just have so much time that I need for the job and not for my happy place, like my crafting. So I need to get ahead of it. And I know that I show tons of Christmas cards, but I do love making them. I love making birthday cards and Christmas cards, but if I can make Christmas cards, I would make them. So I already want to apologize for every card that you might see in January, February, March, but I also think I did this year, except for 1 month. I joined Jen Shirkus for the Get Cracking on Christmas initiative that she has, where you make one Christmas card every third Thursday of the month, so that you already have a few cards going, you know. And I know that some of you find it too early, and I completely get that, but I'm always lacking. So I think next year that I definitely have to do something like that, that I still keep going with those ideas of creating a few a month, you know. If you don't want to see them, maybe just save them for when you want to watch Christmas cards inspiration. But I will be making Christmas cards because I need to feature all of those gorgeous winter and holiday stamps from Hello Bluebird, because I truly adore them, as tons of you do as well. In case you want to buy it, it's at the specific Hello Bluebird shop. So far as I know, if there is by any chance a change of that and I know about it, I will mention it definitely here. But as far as I know, currently you just buy it at Hello Bluebird, in case you want that. So here for my second card, it's all white, you know, but that warm hug sentiment really jumps, I think. So I just added a bit of grounding here for the penguin. Also the card base is a slight bit smaller. Well, it's a bit more trimmed down, so it's a smaller card than the first one. I'm going to add my panel here using some foam adhesive again. This is actually craft foam with Scor tape on top. It's a tip from Carissa Whiteley to save a bit on your dimensional adhesives. It's just really great, so definitely check her out if you want to see how, because it's really handy. And I made a few for me, like foam sheets, adhesive foam sheets, and it is cheaper. So I'm just removing the backings, and then I'm going to try to center it as much as possible. It's always a bit daunting. I went for the darkest color to put behind to really let that white jump off. And then with my shaker card, I don't know what you think. I was really doubting, and at the end I went for it. But I created a frame using the two largest dies from the Nesting Deckle Mini Slimline die. And that way I got this white frame. And for some reason I just found that my background, maybe it was nicer if it had a kind of a frame. So I went for it and I added it. I must admit that while watching now, I also do love it without, so it's all up to you. And I don't know if you would have added the white frame as well, but I think this way the white element jump off a bit more. I don't know. And then to finish off both cards, I am using some heart sprinkles. You know it. I love them. They're my favorite embellishment. There are some reds in it, there are white ones in it, pink ones in this specific mix, but there are tons of other colors. I think there is like every color of the rainbow is out there. For the white card I went with red hearts. For the red card with all of the stripes I went for white hearts. And I'm just kind of adding them exactly the same way because the design of these cards are the same. So if you love placement on one card, you can repeat it on the other card, even when you're just adjusting a tiny bit of the design, you know. I tested the red ones here, but they were only jumping off from that light pink, so I went with white. And then once I was happy, after fiddling quite a bit, I used some liquid glue to add it as well. And then I'm going to just finish it off using some Sitckles, some stardust as always. I'm going to add it to those white elements of the Christmas hat. That's also why I do not add any shadows there. I think glitter does the job for you, adding a bit of interest over there. So I'm going to do that, and then my two cards are ready. So originally it was going to look a bit like the right card, but then with the stripes instead of the red cardstock. So as you can see, I sort of kept also a tiny bit my idea, but I made two cards at once, and I really love them. I need to make some envelopes for them because they are a different size than normal, but really fun. Okay, so here are the Sitckles, and then I will show the cards a bit more up close. If you want to revisit combinations, check out my blog post. If you want to revisit the supplies that I used underneath or on my blog post as well, you can find all of them. And I hope that I could inspire you today with maybe one or both cards. Thank you so much for being here, for supporting me throughout all of these years that I'm here, to be so kind as always. You guys are the best. I haven't been answering all of the comments because there's just so much to do here still for Christmas and New Year's. But truly, I love you being here. I see you. I thank you. I wish you the best. I already wish you a Merry Christmas. More cards are coming. I think tomorrow even there will be a Christmas card. But Merry Christmas already. I wish you the best for 2023 if you will not be stopping by anymore. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I'll be back soon with some more crafty inspiration. Bye!